I have Mr. Adam Jablin with me today, and my guess is you will feel his heart. You will feel his authenticity, as I did when I first met him. Adam, I think we met last October in Park City at a mastermind. And man, this man, he just drops in. There's no joke. There's no fluff. There's eye contact. There's heart. There's love. And there's realness. So let me read his bio, and then Adam, let's get into it. Adam Jablin is a best-selling author, certified recovery mentor, life coach, and keynote speaker who has recently been featured on, drumroll please, ESPN, Fox, CNBC, TNT, BET, CNN, ABC, NBC, and CBS News. Adam's mission and purpose is to break people free, to ignite their hero within. And this is why he created the Hero Project, a high-level coaching program that has helped thousands of people break free from addiction, faulty dependencies, fears, doubt, and anxiety, which is so fascinating because this is all the stuff we were just talking about. How often do we coach people on the things that we're personally in our own hero's journey around? So Adam's work focuses on empowering individuals to take control of their lives, cultivate a positive mindset, and take action towards achieving their goals. Through a range of strategies and techniques, he helps individuals develop the tools and resources they need to succeed in all areas of life. But Adam not only creates the transformative program, he also went through his own fight with alcoholism and addiction and has been clean and sober since, second drum roll, everybody ready for it? Since 2006. Okay, Adam's incorporating his life experience into the Hero Project. He's working with celebrities, professional athletes, influencers, entrepreneurs, entertainers, and politicians to wake up and recover who they really are. And this year, Adam is preparing for his Hero event in Miami on my birthday, the June 2nd and 3rd. I'm so glad you're celebrating me, Adam.
I'm totally celebrating you.
And so this event is going to focus on mind, body, spirit, emotions, and finances. He also just published a book with his spiritual father and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Will you just tell us a little bit about the book right now?
Yeah.
And who is Dion?
That's funny. You know what I mean? Because he's a legend in music, but his hits were in the 50s. And he has stayed relevant all of these years. So a lot of people know Dion really by some of his early hits like Run Around Sue and The Wanderer, these classics.
Yeah.
He's been an inspiration to guys that were my heroes, that were like Bob Dylan is in love with him, Bruce Springsteen, Eric Clapton. They look up to him because he was like the first generation rock and roller. So he has been part of my life for a long time and has guided me many times.
Yeah. And the two of you just wrote a book together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've hosted a podcast and you've spoke with Los Angeles Lakers and LA Rams. Adam, how would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Adam Jablin. Nice to meet you. Pretty much just like that.
Adam, if you go back to the 5 to 6 year old version of you, how would you describe him? What was he up to? What was he doing? What was he dreaming about?
You wanted to be Superman. He was dreaming of helping people. He was insecure about his weight. He craved a lot of love.
And so how perfect, like that piece in your bio that is, exactly what it needed to be. To break free from addiction, faulty dependencies, fears, doubts, and anxiety. Like, I get the impression that young version of you is really being the Superman in the ways that probably that 5 to 6 year old version of you would be really proud.
Yeah, I think he would be proud. He's still in there. I have to work with him quite a bit, but I think he'd be proud. I do.
And so you've had twists and turns of sobriety and the Superman, the desire to be the Superman, and now working with pretty influential individuals in the world. Was there a defining moment that you're like, that moment was a turn of events that really, there was a fork in the road And now here I am here today doing what I'm doing.
There were several defining moments. I'd have to start with my intervention, being open enough to receive the help. And then I would have to say another like defining moment was when I really, really got into recovery, seeing how many people were attracted to my message and my energy and how I lived. And I was, I wasn't doing it for that. I was grateful for the opportunity to help them because somebody helped me. But that was definitely an aha moment. And probably the first time I spoke, not being trained as a speaker and not, none of that stuff, just spoke from my heart, and the attention that got was another like aha moment. Like there's something going on. And, unfortunately, when we sold the family business right at the same time, I got a divorce. And that was like a very difficult emotional launching pad for me to finally go out and be me. And those four things together, that's been the journey. Those have been the landmarks.
Right. So there was a lot of crumbling, a lot of dismantling. Dismantle the addiction, dismantle the family business, dismantle the marriage, while at the same time picking yourself, what is it called? Picking yourself up by the bootstraps.
Exactly.
And building. Was it a solo journey, or did you right away bring in mentorship? What did that look like? What did support look like as you were in your own building?
I never was solo. My mentor was there. I started really having a different and new relationship with my parents that I hadn't had in a long time. We were close, but there was a wall there because we worked together. I had friends. I sought outside help. But interestingly enough, there was still always that feeling of being alone. Mm-hmm. That's just was there the entire time.
Is it still there?
Oh, yeah, of course. It's that relationship with self that I'm constantly working on. And the reason I constantly work on it is because I've chosen a career and I've chosen a path that I get to help a lot of people. And that means that the work never ends, because if I'm not whole, they'll be able to feel it and they'll be able to see it. So I have to really constantly do the work, and life keeps coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's probably that version of you that looks in the mirror and sees the overweight version that isn't lovable.
Oh,
and feels alone, but no longer has the family business to lean on and no longer has the addiction to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
So where does he go instead?
Well, he goes inside a lot.
Mm-hmm.
His relationship with God is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
Personal work is extremely important. Meditation and journaling and things that I teach and that we practice together. And he takes good care of himself. Mm-hmm. Really, really good care of himself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And for me, it starts with the physical. I need to get my body right before the others will kind of follow.
And so if you wake up on a day and your dominant feeling is that of feeling alone,
mm-hmm.
What do you do with that?
That's a good question. I still do my practices. I still meditate, journal, pray, go to yoga or go to workout. And sometime during that day, end up, sharing it with somebody. I reach out to my children, mm-hmm. But it is an ongoing process. It really is an ongoing process.
Think about how real you are. How often do we look at experts or coaches that have big followings or work with celebrities, and the persona that they lead with is, I've got it all figured out, so come follow me. And the humility that you lead with of like, yeah, I'm doing this along with you. I imagine a lot of that comes through the sobriety journey. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. It comes from the sobriety journey, and it comes from, look, I understand the generation we're in and coaching. I get it. I get it. And to me, it's almost fascinating that everybody wants to be a coach or says there is a coach, because I really am a coach, which means there is a lot of parts of myself that I hated. And specifically, like as a young boy, yeah, just, I was the kid that always saw the best in you. I was the kid that I would wrap you up in football. I wouldn't lay you out, and my coaches would scream at me, Jablin, lay him out. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to hurt you. I want to show you what I did in the play. I was the kid that boxed, got you, and then showed you how I did. And it made me feel very feminine, very feminine. That I always wanted the best for somebody else. I always wanted to show them. I always wanted to share. So to me, this is like such an interesting generation, because I hated what I was naturally. So many people want to be that thing. And I do sometimes wonder, are they doing it for the right reasons?
That you were innately loving and caring. And somehow growing up in Jersey, right? The
Jersey and in the 80s, it's not the greatest mix.
And to go, oh, right, there is this, like the true balance of feminine and masculine, to be able to be strong and take someone down, but still do it with compassion and love. And so there's all these little threads of self-doubt. So once again, can I be lovable even if I'm fully me? And I know in your bio, it says that you're under the teaching and guidance of the one and only Tony Robbins. And so when you're with Tony, what is his response to all of this? To this piece, the am I lovable? Can I look myself in the mirror with all of me and go, you're dang right?
He says it's the most common two primary questions that people have, which is, I'm not enough. I won't be loved. So he's like, he's funny. He's joined the club. He is somebody, though, that is exactly who he says he is. And he's mastered it. He's truly mastered it. He's authentic and he's real and he's been there and he understands, and he goes back into his memory bank of when he felt like that. And what it did for him and how he transformed it. He's always very solution oriented. It's really about the solution. He'll have empathy. He'll identify with you. He'll let you know how much he really, really understands, and he'll use languaging that lets you know he's been there. But he's not going to talk about that without a solution, ever.
And he strikes me as someone that's highly intuitive. So there's still this balancing act.
Yeah.
Of being spirit-led, being intuitive-led, being compassionate, being loving, and at the same time, solution-oriented, get her done, big, strong, muscular. Yeah. And you have that too.
Yeah, 100%. And interestingly enough, I followed a lot of his patterns, not knowing who he was or what had happened. I was a people pleaser, and I was a giver to a fault, and I was seeking approval and attaboys and adulation because I thought that was a form of love, believe it or not. And for him to share that he did the same thing made me feel really, really safe and good about myself. And when I realized he could do that, it I guess the word would say it made me so much stronger in knowing the way I'm helping people is spot on. I feel like when I'm coaching groups or I'm coaching clients, they're not going to trust me unless I'm fully me and I'm vulnerable and I'm open. I always say we're going to get naked. It's going to get raw, because
Now we're talking.
Because how are you going to trust social media? Because I was on TV, because there's a selfie with me and a big celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
That's building your trust. Good luck.
It's so good.
Because you're going to trust a lot of people.
I was just talking with Marissa yesterday on the phone, and I mentioned a certain person and a person that they'd been with. She's like, oh yeah, you can buy time with anybody. It's like, oh, right. That perception where we put people on pedestals that somehow this individual is more enough.
Yeah.
Or more lovable because of some perceived status versus the humanness. So if you embodied that completely lovable enough version of you, what would be next? What's Adam Jablin up to in the future?
It's a great question. I love what I do. I would love to help the youth more, specifically kids, more like juniors and seniors in high school and the first 2 years in college, that it's like, it's great age to catch them before it really becomes a dependency or a full addiction. But they're abusing it already, you know?
Yeah.
Abuse is almost like a bad habit. You know what I mean? Like let's give an example. I probably abuse I text and drive a little too much. It's a bad habit. It's not an addiction. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, I have to text it. It's habitual.
Do you have the thing where your phone won't let you and then you have to say, no, I'm not driving?
Yeah, totally.
Stop telling me what to do. I'm not addicted. Okay, I'm listening.
100%. Having said that, I know a lot of kids, especially, with marijuana and alcohol and sometimes getting into some crazy stuff. But I've noticed a lot of kids that talk to me that are aware of their behavior and they want to enjoy it, but they don't want it to turn into an addiction. And I find that group fascinating, because what a lot of them always talk about with me is connection. Mm-hmm. It makes them feel connected. It's a way to bond. And when they're with me, they're connecting. And I think that there's a strategy and a way to show them it's okay to share. It's okay to talk about this. It's okay to feel safe. It's okay if you overdid it, but like there are some signs, and believe it or not, getting really, really honest and vulnerable emotionally can save you from going, because what's going to happen is you're going to be actually more depending on that, not for connection anymore, but because you don't feel good, because you don't want to talk about it. And I think there's a special category there that really hasn't been tapped into that well.
Yep.
And I'd love to discover it, and I'd like to really help the youth.
And I imagine if we had time for you to really share your full story, I've got to hear pieces of it over time. If you, between age 15 and 19, had an Adam Jablin to step in along the connection journey, along the I'm enough, I'm lovable, and addiction journey, that maybe your whole life would have ended up in a different trajectory, and the addiction and the sobriety journey maybe wouldn't have even been needed. Is that fair?
It's possible. What I like about it's hard for me to say that, because my generation was all about it. Mm-hmm. All about it. I mean,
you think this generation isn't? This generation of...
I feel there's more of an awareness. Like there's the mocktails and there's sober movements. And, back in my day, AA was like really hush hush and like quiet and for the sick, and like in churches with cigarettes. And now, everybody knows every celebrity's, recovery story from, I don't want to name their names. It's not important. But people know how important recovery is, and sobriety is not a taboo topic anymore. I do think there's a difference. The answer is yes. It's a long version of yes.
Yeah. And I'm just, that description that you just gave, I'm sent back to my childhood. I remember, because I was in family of AA and family of NA as a kid. I remember third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade in churches with cigarettes and coffee. Those are the smells that I remember, and it being hush hush. And I remember it was either fifth or sixth grade where I had to write a school paper, the best thing that happened that year for me. And I wrote about my stepdad's sobriety. And he was really embarrassed and was very upset at me that I wrote it because it made it public. And so what I'm hearing from you, because this is your world, you're entrenched in the sobriety journey, supporting so many, that it's not so hush hush anymore. People are being honest and they're finding new forms of connection and they're sharing. Okay, so the Hero Project, really underneath the Hero Project is all around sobriety. Is that fair? Is it still the addiction journey?
So it started with that. It started with that because that was my expertise. And what happened was I was pushed by the people that wanted to work with me that it can't be all about sober, because they didn't want to get sober. They didn't have a problem. Like they wanted to stop this form of an addiction or that pattern. So I was forced to learn more, to grow more, to dive in more. And again, I still never found anything that doesn't quite fit as perfect as the hero's journey. I really haven't. If I did, I'd talk about it more. But the idea that we're all separating from an old idea, an old belief, an old habit, an old pattern, an old story, an old addiction, an old whatever it is. And then there's that initiation process where you meet the old wise mentor, you meet that person that lights you up and shows you how to become more, to get new skills, new ideas, new beliefs, new ways of thinking, new ways of acting, new ways of behaving. And you learn the Force, you learn you're Neo in the Matrix, you learn you're from Krypton, you learn these things, and then you slay that dragon, which I said numerous times, 99.9% of the time, that dragon is an internal fear that you don't want to face. And then there's the triumphant return home, and I've never seen anything that doesn't encapsulate some form of freedom and recovery better than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so for someone that engages in the Hero Project, the one that you're creating, the in-person event in Miami, and also I'm imagining it's a coaching program for those that are listening and they're like, I want to enroll in the Heroes Project.
Yeah.
Is it something that is accessible to people out in the world?
Look, just because it got that kind of attention does not mean that I that's where I stay, and that's where I love helping all walks of life.
What I'm hearing is it's predominantly one-on-one. It's not like a big coaching program. There's no evergreen version of it out there that someone could go consume today.
Well, I do have an Addictive Mind masterclass that they could buy if they want. So I will have a Hero Project, the structure of my coaching, but it's not, so it's almost if you wanted to learn how I do what I do, that we're having, go up soon. But, and I do coaching groups. But I haven't relaunched, groups you have to launch and, it's the whole thing. But there's a lot of one-on-one. Yeah, there's absolutely a lot of one-on-one.
Yeah. And so the beauty of that is the ripple effect that has the ripple effect that has the ripple effect. And so you have gone in your own hero's journey and you're at this pinnacle, so to speak, of having the privilege of working with some people in the world along their hero's project or hero's journey. And those individuals are the individuals that have the ripple effect, that have the ripple effect, that have the ripple effect. And that's where Mr. Adam Jablin is changing the world.
I appreciate that. It's so much not about me. It's really about them. I actually made the mistake in the beginning because it just felt so good to do something on my own and to be proud of it, that I feel it was a mistake, that a lot of my marketing and a lot of my advertising was about me. I wanted people to know that I was credible and that I was worth it, so obviously I was still chasing. but it's really, something shifted in me where I like had a wake up call and just understood it's about them. Who cares about me? Like it's about them.
And if you have NDAs, you can't really talk about them.
That's been part of my biggest, every time, there's a business within the business, right?
Yeah.
Every single time I've worked with somebody, they're like, well, if you could, because they know, well, if you could have this person speak, I'm like, they're not going to do that. I'm like, the whole reason they trust me is because I won't do that. But it get you so much attention. And I'm like, well, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you've been along your sobriety journey, grew up in a family-owned business. You didn't mention it's the lace. So your family gave all the lace to Victoria's Secret. Big deal. Family sold the business. Adam Jablin stepped off on his own.
Yeah. And it's been a journey. It's been my own hero's journey. And it's scary and it's lonely at times. And, I love the work so much. I love it. But it has challenged me because I went from a world of certainty, complete certainty, knew what we were, what we would do, how to manufacture it. We knew just everything was certain. Paycheck was certain. Everything was certain, to complete uncertainty.
Yeah.
And that has been so challenging emotionally and spiritually. It is so challenging, and it's made me question so many ideas and rules and beliefs I have around life.
So now there's uncertainty professionally, it sounds like, an income stream, and how do I build the business? There's uncertainty around if I'm not going to go to drugs and instead stay sober, where do I get my fix? Uncertainty around loneliness and connection. Which one shows up the most potently with the strongest viper, the strongest bite right now in the uncertainty space?
I think one would be love and connection. And the second would be, I keep being taught I need to replicate myself. I need to make this bigger than it is. It's great that it helps so many people, but it's got to scale. And it's difficult to find your next protege and really trust them with your work. And so those are the two that I bounce back and forth with. Yeah.
When you were explaining the hero's journey, I saw two visuals. One is, the mentor, the wizard that's there leading the way, versus the inner wizard that's actually leading the way, that's coming from within. And I heard you say that there's a strong relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And so along your own hero's journey, I don't even know how to ask this question. Where's the balancing act, or which one takes more weight? Is it the hero's journey of really embodying and finding the wizard from within? Or is it finding some other human being here in the 3D human universe that's there to guide you and hold your hand and offer the love and connection along your hero's journey? Or is it both?
Definitely within.
Within.
Definitely within. 100%.
Is that lonely though?
Yeah, of course. Of course. And sometimes it's not it was by choice. It was by insecurities and fears and doubts and people pleasing and not knowing what I want. It's been, it can be very, very lonely. But I mean, I also was lonely. It's an internal thing, because I was also lonely in a marriage that didn't work. Mm-hmm. I was actually lonely with somebody there. So it's really internal.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the uncertainty around love and connection, it's also the uncertainty of love and connection of myself. And can I be with myself without feeling lonely? And can I be with someone else without feeling lonely? And then all of that paints how you support the clients that you support.
It's my biggest asset.
Yeah. And so if you allow yourself to go into your imagination, into the divinity place, into the anything and everything is possible place, and you're feeling totally connected, totally loved, absolutely enough. Do you have a picture? What do you see? Is it a place? Is it people? Is it a color? Is it doing something in particular? Where do you go?
Yeah, it feels like it's like a balance of everything. There's a certain harmony where it's children, it's a partner, it's career, it's family, it's wealth, which obviously is something that I'm striving for. I'm always chasing that guy, 5 years from now.
The ironic thing, though, is when you said it out loud and there was balance and there's harmony, what I felt is there is no striving. It's actually completely grounded in a total arrival.
Yeah, I'm sick of Look, I've done that before. I mean, I am really comfortable in striving and pushing and grinding, and it's my default mechanism. It's my go-to. Get a bigger hammer, punch harder, let's go. And that can only work so long. That can only work so long until it doesn't work anymore. And you have to find different ways of doing life. It's kind of how I see the world, by admitting where my mistakes are and turning it over to God and always taking an inventory of where I'm at and how things are looking and finding where my defects of character are and working on them and turning them over. And if I owe an amends to somebody or if I've done something wrong, admitting that, and continuing to seek God and seek spirituality and seek that connection, and then helping another person. And those are, the 12 steps condensed. And that's still how I live my life. And now you add personal development and you keep adding.
Yeah. For someone who's listening and they're feeling a lack of connection, they're feeling a bit alone, and they're aware that there's an addiction that is creeping that they know isn't serving them. Addiction to drugs, addiction to shopping, addiction to sex, addiction to food, whatever it may be, addiction to our cell phones. What would you say to that person?
They're aware of it or they're not?
They're listening and it's creeping in. They're starting to go, ooh, I think this might be a problem, but I don't know what to do with it.
Look, the first thing is, the very first thing is being aware of it, is acknowledging it. And you can write down and journal to yourself. I really believe it's hard for people, but sharing it with one person you trust, sharing it, because now, when you're holding it all by yourself, it's heavy. But when you share it with somebody, you cut it in half. And now two of you are holding it. And you could look at it objectively. Now you got to trust the person that they're not going to go tell somebody else in your life, oh my God, they're abusing this or they're doing this too much. So you have to really, really trust the person. But sharing it is a great start. And if you want, share it with me. I have no skeletons in the closet. I'm an open book.
So just reach out to you on social media and share with you.
Of course. That's what it's there for.
Find him.
Yeah.
And last question. Someone once said that there's only two people in this world that are important what they think.
Okay.
Not my mom. It's not my dad. It's not my coach. It's not my sister. It's not my husband. It's not my children. It's the 80-year-old version of me and the 8-year-old version of me.
I like that.
I went, yeah, right. And so just to end this lovely connection between you and I, if you were sitting there with your 80-year-old version and your 8-year-old version, what would you love for both of them just to be like conspiring and giggling and celebrating, what would they be saying about you?
Oh man, I hope they say you did great. You did great. That's like you did great.
Yeah. And what does great look like?
That's the question. That's the question.
Yeah.
It changes every day. But to hear both of them say that, you did great. That was a great fucking job.
Well, I think you did a great fucking job.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Those two versions of yourself, I think that would be very powerful.
Yeah. All right. Well, big love to you. Thank you for your time. I know everyone who's listened, I'm sure that they've received nuggets. We've shared our time together, which is an amazing resource that we don't get back. I honor that. I honor this energetic exchange. And for everyone listening, I honor your energetic exchange and time that we just shared. Adam said it himself. Reach out to him. And thank you for what you do in the world.